Where does that go?
Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to the March meeting of the Somerville Tree Protection Board. The first item I wish to mention is that we now have a new arborist, Justin Carpenter, who just came on board. This is his first day, and we look forward to working with him. This is an abrupt change, and we're ready to deal with however it works. But I feel we're in good hands. We look forward to working with you. First order of business is the approval of last month's minutes. Any discussion, concerns, questions?
Nope.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are approved. First order of business, 114 Mendenhall Street. Good morning.
Hello.
So, I can recap the story if I might, since we've been there. It's an issue of encroachment on a live oak for the foundation of a garage. There's some considerable setback constraints on the lot, such that after multiple efforts by the owner here to come up with some solution, the possibility of encroaching on this live oak is too extreme. And when we found out more about the mandate of the setbacks and the new movement of the corners, that it's physically impossible to save the tree from the foundation. So my thought about it is that we allow removal with the condition that mitigation is planting of another tree or trees is accomplished. Any other thoughts?
No, I concur that the applicant has done everything that the board has asked to try to shift things around, move things around, but he's just on a lot that does not allow for it. And sadly, that is a really attractive live oak tree and would be, you know, if left unfettered, would be a great addition to the property, but there's no working around this as I can see it. So I concur that we allow removal of the live oak with mitigation.
Anybody else?
How much mitigation would be required? Is that something, you know, Justin or whoever with the town could kind of work out with because I know it's not a whole lot of room on the property
No.
for mitigation, but something certainly could be done as far as adding some kind of canopy to the lot and to provide some overall canopy with the mitigation. So I guess that's just something that'll have to be worked out with the town.
Yeah, we worked out our staff, and you're familiar with those who you can speak with, and Justin will be the one down the road to recommend specifically the trees, as did the former arborist. So this will be easy.
Yeah.
I know you are. Any other questions, comments?
Okay, motion to allow removal of the oak with mitigation to be determined with the town staff.
Second. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Good luck with your project. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Next item is 103 Bowberry Lane. Anybody here representing that property? No? Okay, could we move to some photographs, please? We sort of walk through the yard. You go off and help. The first tree. That's fine. Discussion on this tree?
Yeah, the tree has certainly caused major disruption to the driveway. And oftentimes, we would recommend, root pruning and root barrier to stem any further root disruption. But this tree is so close to the driveway, I don't think that that's possible. You could do root pruning and root, a root barrier on the side between the tree and the house. And that might forestall any problems there, but I don't see anything doable between the tree and the driveway. So sadly, it's such a great tall tree, but I don't see any reason that it can't be removed.
What are the possibilities of replacing that concrete drive with a gravel drive, that you wouldn't have that problem anymore?
Well, that's true but I don't know if that's something we can mandate, but if, yeah, that's certainly true.
It would be easier to do that, I think, than replace the tree.
Hmm.
The cost,
No, I just see it being an issue for the driveway, and I think unless you went with a gravel driveway, if you try to, get rid of the tree and then repave that driveway, it's gonna continue to be an issue as you move forward.
Yeah, if it's repaved, it will be a forever issue, I think. Now a porous drive would certainly help, though it will, you're still going to compact those roots, but it would help, but I guess we could suggest that to the owner, but I don't think that's something we can mandate unless I'm mistaken.
no, I would suggest mandating, but it just be, cost effective, probably.
I tend to like the gravel driveway. With some professional assistance, that the ground is sunken at that point. And you really can't see that the roots are rising, everything up. It is sort of, there's uneven topography in that region of the concrete, and it's almost like a sidewalk. It's not even a continuous concrete or asphalt driveway. So I'm inclined to want to see if the owner would be willing to discuss that. It's a perfect tree. And it has a ways to live yet. It's not declining terribly, and it would be a shame to lose it in the location that it is. That's my feeling. Sir.
Respect everything y'all just said, but you gotta put in place that this is in a really nice neighborhood, HOAs. They're not gonna allow that house to be a house.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the particular, do you live in that subdivision? I guess you do.
I travel all.
Okay.
That you can see it's a beautiful house and, everything. That HOA. I don't know, but I think we find it hard as a homeowner to convince them to let you rip out that driveway, put a gravel driveway. I think it's a great idea. It's still country. But you know how the HOA, they tie your hands. Much, they have just much authority to go at the end of the day.
Well, I think we could certainly just leave it as a recommendation, to consider a gravel driveway. And if the HOA or the homeowner doesn't see fit for that,
I agree.
Everyone doesn't have a tree as beautiful as that one is, so that could be a reason to go with the gravel. Some kind of pervious structure, material.
I want to come back to this. Let's go to the backyard. So you have had quite a bit of observation. We spent a lot of time back there. Tree number 2, if you recall, was
We think it's a Tupelo, but
Tupelo,
he
right?
has it listed as unknown.
was this one approved at staff level?
Yep,
Okay.
that's what I have.
Yeah, that's what we were trying to get. Thank you, Jesse.
Yeah,
Yeah, tree number 2 was approved at staff level. So,
and I agreed with staff on that.
Yep, I do too.
Let's flip back to the picture, please. Photo,
Back to the picture.
right. Tree number 3 was also approved at staff level for obvious reasons. We had a lot of discussion about tree 4 and 5. Could we go back to the text, Jesse, please?
Yeah, I think there was some talk on 4 and 5, maybe leaving the ball cypress and removing tree 5, which is a tupelo. And then, we also felt that if you left both trees, that both of them would probably survive and be okay as well.
Yeah, I didn't see a need to remove either one, frankly.
I've seen trees grow like that and they've been done just fine.
Right, and both of those trees would occur naturally in a wetland. This is a pretty wet lot, with bad drainage, as I recall. So I didn't see any need to remove either one.
Okay.
I agree. Let's,
I thought it was amazing that the concrete driveway was not affected by the roots of these trees.
Especially with the ball cypress.
You're right.
let's go to the backyard. I meant side yard earlier. Okay, tree.
tree 6 is the tulip poplar.
Right,
Yeah, it seemed like that one, excuse me, it had the boards up top for the swing, but it actually, the tree looked good to me. I didn't see any issues with it. Y'all may have found something different, but I thought it was a nice looking tree.
I didn't see anything wrong with it.
nor did I. Okay. Here is where it was a little bit busy back there in what was a very wet area.
It's going to be
Let me switch.
her.
So trees 7, 8, and 9, 7 and 9 were approved at staff level. 8 is not large enough to need a permit.
Right,
So it's really just looking at tree
10, 11, 12.
11, 12. Just let me go back to those.
You said this was a wet area. If
Oh,
they
yeah.
take down that many trees, it's going to get wetter. 'Cause they
True, but
don't
some of
grow.
these trees are really suffering. You didn't get there, did you? I forget. Ray, were you, did you see them? Were you there that day?
No,
Okay. There was a need, so 10, 11, and 12. Unfortunately, as I recall, we found quite a lot wrong with number 10, the yellow poplar. Did we not?
I don't recall finding much. There was a small hole in the trunk that was up high that we couldn't really see how deep it was. So my recommendation was to, before allowing removal, to have that inspected by a certified arborist and give us a report on it.
Yeah.
Unless I missed something, Peter.
Yeah, well, there were pockets up high that we couldn't reach it. We didn't know about having continuous with rot or not.
Right. We didn't know how deep they were, so we just thought that an arborist report would probably be a better way to go before allowing removal, because it did look nice otherwise.
So then the choice came down to 11 and 12 then. And I will have copies of this next time available for everybody here on the text. I appreciate the patience.
I didn't find much to like about either one of those two. I mean,
Much too what?
much to like about them. In my notes, I have, okay to approve removal on both.
Yeah, I think number 11, the Tupelo, just didn't have much taper to it. And we thought maybe allowing removal would help some of these other trees thrive a little bit more.
That's right.
All right, so I'm gonna separate voting on the three areas, the back, the side, and the front, so we'll start here. Do I have a motion for these last trees in the backyard?
So in the backyard,
Right, 7 through 12.
7 through 12. Okay, I don't, on my notes, I don't have it separated on which one was approved by staff, but on 7, I move to, vote to approve removal of tree 7, tree 8, um,
Is tree,
think,
is tree 8 large enough for us to even have a call on that?
No, tree 8 is less than 8 inches.
right,
Okay,
Tree 9 was also approved at staff level.
Was what?
Yeah,
Approved at
9 was
staff
approved.
level. 7
Yeah.
and 9 were approved at staff level.
and no on 10.
right, but suggest the arborists take a look at it, correct?
Correct. And approval, I move to approve removal of 3, 11, and 12.
I would like to amend that. I agree with everything except I would like to leave tree 12. So I need a second on that motion, and then we need to vote on both. If there is a second,
Second.
okay? So motion is seconded. All those in favor of the motion, and the motion is that we remove the staff level trees, 7, 8, and 9. 10 remains and 12 remains. That's seconded, okay? All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Opposed? No.
You're opposed?
Yeah, opposed.
The motion fails since we have a tie vote.
So you go back to your original motion by Danny.
Okay,
Failed.
so the original motion, oh, we haven't finished voting on the original motion.
Correct. Yeah, the amendment failed,
Okay.
but the
So the original
original
motion
motion
being removal of 7, 8, and 9,
and
and 11 and 12,
Yes, sir.
and 10 contingent upon a description of disease or.
Is it, do you need it to come
difficulty.
back? Would you like 10 to come back after
I
they get an
would.
arborist
Yeah.
report?
Yeah.
Okay.
So is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Chair votes no. Motion passes. Okay, back to the side yard.
That's. That's
So I-
2 through 6.
Okay, I'll
Yeah,
make the
2,
motion.
3, 4, 5, and 6. are
I'll make
the-
the motion and, we've included staff approved trees. Because at times I've been understanding that if someone goes to tree committee to look at trees that were not approved, we are to consider the staff approved as well.
Yeah, we can't separate the permit into staff approval. and
Okay,
tree
Well,
protection.
that's why we end up
Voting.
repeating the obvious. But I'll make the motion that we remove tree 2 and 3 and leave 4 and 5 intact.
I second that.
All those in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? 4 and 5 remain. Now let's go back to the street.
Did we include, has 6 been voted on?
No, sir.
Oh, 6 was the yellow poplar that we. Somebody make a motion, you remember?
Yeah. I move that we, allow tree 6 to remain.
I second that.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 6 stays. Now back to tree number 1. Any more discussion, any more thoughts?
Well, since we don't know what, an HOA is certainly something we need to consider. An HOA is allowed double driveway as opposed to the rest of the neighborhood is looked to be solid driveway as opposed to divided as this one.
Unique, yeah.
This one is, so, but regardless, I would think that we should recommend to the applicant that they consider a porous driveway.
It, just as a note, it may have originally been a wagon wheel driveway due to impervious surface limits. Was likely why it was that way to begin with.
You said that's why it's that
And
way.
the others, everything adjacent is solid.
I'm not
Is that
sure.
possible?
but
No, it is.
it is,
I
yeah.
looked.
So it may be that that lot was slightly smaller, the house slightly bigger, and it required a wagon wheel driveway to meet their impervious surface limit requirement. I'm not positive,
Okay,
but
well,
that-
it was just an observation that that's allowed to stay. So an HOA may have approved it is what I'm getting at. So an HOA may have approved that, and so consequently, since it is different from everything else adjacent, they might approve a porous driveway. I don't know the answer to that.
And since no one is here to represent the HOA, it's hard to make a decision based on what we can just get at.
All right, well,
So I wonder if we can, perhaps what we should do is defer a vote on tree number 1 unless the applicant can confirm that the HOA would not allow a pervious driveway.
and that some level of repair isn't possible without having to do a totally porous driveway. But if that's a manageable thing to ask for, then
Well,
It's worth
if we don't, then my vote changes to allow removal.
stand.
If you want to try to save the tree, then
Yeah, I
I
wanna
think we
save the
exhaust
tree.
what we can.
So I'll make a motion then that that we deferred the judgment on this tree so that the owner has a chance to discuss with the HOA what options they may have to preserve this tree in the process of fixing their driveway. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We defer and hopefully we'll hear back from the landowner. Next item of business is 207 Mendenhall Street. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. A lot of trees in the yard to look at, and everybody have their notes handy because, okay, well, thoughts on the first cluster of trees here, 1, 2, and 3.
What I have on, number one was a water oak, I believe.
Right.
And it seemed like it had some branches that were, going out towards the road. And what I saw, I thought that the tree was fine. If you, want to get rid of some of that load on the roadside, just trim a few of the branches back. I don't think it would take much pruning to accomplish that. And likewise on number two, it seemed like it had a load as well, and just kind of taking some of the branches and possibly pruning some out to reduce that load. And tree three, I had no problems with that one.
Two, it seems like there's a lot of weight there leaning toward the house.
Right.
And not only that, the tree is close enough to the house where the roots are pretty big there, and I'm wondering if it's ever gonna affect the foundation there on the house. Tree one, I can see your point there. Maybe it's possible to just prune towards the road there. But are those two the same species or are they different species?
1 and 2.
Yeah.
They're same species,
Species.
water oaks.
Nick seemed to think the one leaning over towards the house was kind of near the end of its lifespan anyway. So I'm wondering if we could possibly take that one all the way down and maybe just trim back the number one tree going towards the road a bit. I'm really not liking the fact that that tree is getting so big and heavy and it's leaning that much towards the house.
Can we see the photograph of it again, please? That,
To get a really good picture, you'd need another angle toward the left of that photo.
Right.
Go about 50 or 70 feet more to the left and take a shot and you can really see that where it's leaning a lot with a lot of weight leaning on the house.
Do you recall how far that trunk is from the porch of the house?
Oh, I'm gonna say about 5 to 6 feet.
Okay. And so far, there's been no foundation issues from the roots of that tree, right?
Not that I can see yet, but there's big roots at ground level popping up the top of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope it doesn't affect the foundation.
Yeah, I understand.
A good solution for something like that could be root pruning. You could dig, like just a 1 inch wide trench by the foundation that, where the, roots would come toward the foundation. Make that cut through there, and that would be cutting those roots. And if you don't do any more pruning than that on roots, the tree will be fine. But it would take care of the threat to your foundation.
Okay. Other thoughts?
yeah, Mr. Chairman, as I recall that tree and it's the lean towards the house is phototropic in that the tree grew that way because that's where the available sunlight was. And it appeared to me that I agreed with the notes that were written by the arborist, by Nick, that tree could be pruned to help lighten part of that weight that is on the side of the house without endangering the tree and the and not remove the tree. Furthermore, Nick's notes what we saw don't mention that it's end of life, but 22 inches for a water oak is not necessarily indicative of end of life. I mean, they can get pretty big. I didn't see the tree as nearing the end of its life, personally. So I don't see need to remove that tree at this juncture, maybe in the future, but not now.
Any other thoughts on trees 1, 2, and 3?
And you could do the root pruning on toward the foundation of your home to take care of concerns involving damage there.
Start trimming the roots, cutting through the roots too. You're also weakening the strength of the tree to the ground. So I don't know. I would would just rather the whole tree was out of there. But
I understand there's enough concern for that, the continuance of that tree, that is nothing that we can't look at later. I know that is additional time and expense perhaps, but, my general feeling was as well, it was a phototropic lean. Could be some weight reduction done in the crown, to take away some of the excess weight leaning toward the house, but the tree really wants to be sturdy. It's just bending away from the adjacent trees, and gives it that look of lean, which often is, inferred as a danger point. Often it is not. Any other discussion? Do I have a motion?
Well, just one last item for discussion, just to help the gentleman's mind and hopefully set some fears at ease, that root pruning, if done by a good arborist, is an acceptable method of treating issues, just as you are afraid of. I mean, it's done with some frequency. But I just wanted to add that,
Yes,
Chairman.
sir. And we're not talking about cutting all the roots, we're talking about cutting them close to the foundation, and barriers can be put down to prevent aggressive growth in the future. One thing we often say is if there's a concern, there's ways to come by and examine whether whether it's actually happening, to excavate delicately with an air spade, it's called, to identify whether major roots are actually challenging the foundation. That's another option. Any more discussion on 1, 2, and 3? Yes, sir.
Question.
Sure.
In a situation like that, the tree is growing with the sun over the roof, and the suggestion that root pruning and trimming the canopy. Also, you can only prune 20% of the canopy.
Correct.
True.
So what if 20% isn't quite enough to get all that weight off of that? 20%, a magic number that's gonna take all that weight on a tree that's growing kind of before?
No, 20% is a biological recognition of reduction of capability of the growth of the tree. And it is not a sacred number. It will depend on the tree, of course. You have to pick somewhere. You have to start somewhere.
Right.
So,
Understand. Make it safer.
huh?
It's gonna make it safer at 20%, but it's not gonna be 100%.
No, and nor do we have even a clue that there's even a chance in the world for that tree falling down when it's as sturdy as it is.
Yes.
And we have to weigh that when we make these decisions as well. Some are more obvious than others.
Guarantees don't come with that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Do I have a motion?
Trees 1 through 3, is that what we're?
Yes, I'm going to do these separately.
Okay, I vote to, not approve removal of trees 1, 2, and 3.
Well, okay,
With the suggestions that have already been mentioned.
Correct.
I'll second that.
You second?
Yes.
Okay.
so the motion is to remove not to remove 1, 2, or 3. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
None of this was staff approved, was it, on this front here?
No, not on these.
All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Got a little bit busier back in the backyard. We have 4 and 5, and what's the next picture? We can do them together, I think. Boy,
I've got 4 and 6 being approved by staff.
I have 4,
Or 6,
5, and 6.
all
Stated
approved.
as can be approved at staff level.
Okay.
can we see the picture again, Justin?
So 7 would be the. 7 would be the one that would need to be considered. So on 7, it's completely conjoined with the large red oak, which would like to be retained. Um,
Okay, so on number 7, the sweet gum, you would like to remove the sweet gum, but keep the oak, is that right?
Oh, do you have another picture that shows that better? I mean,
I believe this is the only picture we have. Yeah, it's hard to see with the bush there, but I believe
that
this,
one's kind of
this is the
growing
oak and this is the,
offshoot of the
Yeah.
other tree.
Is that the sweet gum? Or is
Yes,
that-
that's the
Yeah,
sweet
that's the
gum.
sweet gun.
That one is leaning a lot towards the neighbor's fence, and bigger it gets, the more likely it's to snap off down at the base there, and I'm just wondering if that can be taken out without affecting the growth of the main trees that it's shooting out of there, yeah.
Yeah, that's an approach that certainly I think is worth doing, to remove the sweet gum at a point without cutting into the section where the bark is included. So I agree that the sweet gum could be removed and without necessarily without putting the oak at risk. So I would, caution the applicant to just keep his eyes on it and make sure that that the decay from the stump that's left does not adversely affect the other tree. Though I don't think that's something that necessarily has to happen. It's something you want to be careful about. So I would approve the removal of the sweet gum.
I agree, because I remember that was just like an ugly appendage coming out there, but that's good advice to be careful with the cut and to avoid being too close to the bark union of the two trees. Number 10 is, I'd like to include this in the process. Okay, let's put the text on 8, 9, and 10, please, Jesse.
it appears that 8 can be approved at staff level. 9 and 10 cannot.
Okay, so we back to the picture.
Yes.
What do you have in your notes?
Yeah, I think on 9 and 10, just from the report from the arborist, I mean, he made it sound like I gave a good report on both trees, and I didn't see any issues with either one of them as well. So I think 9 and 10, in my opinion, we're good to go.
I agree.
All right, so. Say anything?
okay.
I distinctly remember number 9, I'm without the proper notes for number 10. And 8, I do remember as well as being. Why is it that 9 that you wanted, 9 and 10 that you wanted removed?
They're in an area where I would like to open up the yard a little bit there and be able to burn in the fire pit there without worrying about being too close to the trees. And 9 is actually growing up, and most of the crown is growing over the house.
I remember that.
So that's the reason I'm wanting to open those out mainly. And number 8, I think I mentioned to you, we have future plans of adding on to the back
Yes.
of the house. And when we do that, those 2 trees are both gonna be pretty close to the corner of the house.
Right. I remember that. Okay. So
We wouldn't want to permit removal of trees prior to having a blueprint or plans in hand to know that it actually is going to happen. But you could come back and say, okay, I have this now and want to move ahead. But until then, wait.
All right.
What was the number that those sweet gum that came in a prior picture?
Sweet gum?
Yeah, the one the appendage 7, okay. I make a motion that is there any more discussion? Make a motion that we approve 3-7.
Don't forget about 4 and 5.
Oh, we didn't do them either? Thank you, Jesse.
4 and 5 were a bit.
Oh,
able to
that
be
was
approved at
staff approved.
level, But
That's okay. I make a
4, 5,
motion
and
that,
6.
right, staff approved?
Yeah, 4, 5, and 6 staff could approve, but if you could include that in your motion with 7.
I will. I move that we allow removal of trees 4, 5, 6, and 8,
7.
7, excuse me, 7
And 8.
and 8.
Bless you.
I second.
Any more discussion on the seconded motion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
You approved 8 and not 9?
That's correct. But when you have,
4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 were approved.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And you'll get an email and a permit with the actual approval numbers on there.
And if things change, you certainly can come back.
Like the foundation corner of the addition. Because you have to go through the whole process again with the permits for the building. And in the process of that, tree proximity is always considered.
All right.
All right.
Got 2
Oh,
more
that's
trees.
right.
Sorry.
I thought there's 12 trees there. Manny? You got 11 and 12?
Well, we've still,
Here's that both of
We've
those
still got
can
9
be
and 10
approved at
too.
staff
Got 9 and
level.
10.
9, 10 was in the picture. Okay, then do I need to amend the,
11 and 12.
If you can just do a separate motion to approve 11 and 12 as well, if you want.
a separate motion? Motion to approve,
It's just a second. We hadn't done 9 and 10 yet, have we?
no,
that's what we just talked
Yeah,
about.
Okay.
Okay.
But in that group, I should have, of the group from 4 through 10, we permit the removal of 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Right.
And 9 and 10 remain.
correct.
Do I have a second for that?
What is the motion?
It-
I'm confused, I'm sorry.
To remove 4 through 8 and leave standing 9 and 10.
Was that not your previous motion? Peter?
I
Yeah.
didn't mention 9 and 10. And you-
Why don't you do a separate motion to leave 9 and 10 and approve 11 and 12 rather than restating the other ones?
That sounds good. I move that, that 9 and 10 stay and that we allow removal for 11 and 12.
Second.
all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So 11 and 12 we're on to. And that's all, right?
And when you get the email, all that will be clear then. It sounds a bit,
Yeah.
sounds a bit confusing now.
You'll get a message with all of, it'll be clear.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next item is 105 East Carolina Avenue. It's a tree protection zone encroachment. And I see that no one is here. It would be good that they were. Because it's really not clear why it is that we need to consider the encroachment, and that the cottage could not be moved, not very much, to avoid the encroachment. It's not a large encroachment, but it is on a large tree. So there was an assertion that it would, to move the cottage further away from the tree that's being encroached upon would interfere with future parking or future construction of a carport. It'd be nice to be able to see that, particularly with the, but this is a carport that is not, to my knowledge, been approved in any way.
That's correct. No plans have included the carport.
So, any other, so my thought is that I'm not inclined to just arbitrarily want to encroach on a significant tree if it's not necessary. That's always our goal. When it's necessary, then we can deal with that. Those are my thoughts. Any?
Yeah, I concur. I don't see any need to approve encroachment into that zone without knowing, having more information. So I would suggest that, I see no need to approve the encroachment.
More information is always good.
Well,
Yeah, I agree with that, because it doesn't look like you'd have to move that building over very far to accomplish, being out of the encroachment, that tree root zone. So I would like to see that, looked at a little closer and see if that's possible to be able to do.
in a motion?
So I move to deny the application for encroachment into the tree protection zone.
I second it.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Encroachment is voted against. Next is 410 Eastover Circle. Two red maples, that's in South Point. We had fun talking about these.
Yeah, this was an unusual one. We don't see this very often, but the tree is pretty much lifting out of the ground and roots are exposed, but the tree appears to be healthy at the same time. I think there was some concern about the water line, roots getting into the water line, but I don't think that's an issue. In this case, the water line appears to be, a safe distance away to not have that issue going on.
Yeah, I agree. And if the applicant's not here, if they disagree, certainly they can come back, but I would want them to show that the water lines are that the roots are approaching the water lines. And I didn't see evidence of that. The maples are healthy and I don't see any need for removal.
It was a very stout and healthy red maple, even though it had 4 stems. It was amazing. The root collar had risen up quite a bit. Someone had put ground cloth, I don't know how many years ago, around the base of it. So it was really hard to tell whether it was an issue, compounding issue because of that. But the trees in general were just really healthy, and I agree that the water shut off the meter was way far away from the tree. So I concur with those views. Any other thoughts?
I'd like to make a motion that we deny removal of the trees.
I second it.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 306 West Richardson Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Have you been back in the?
Morning.
Good morning. Staff.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Notes here. We really appreciate your site visit. on last week, and we realize that there are questions that- And thank you for today. It seems like this may not be our last meeting with you, but we just want to see what we can get accomplished today. So full disclosure, my husband and I are not, we're not in the building business, so we're not engineers, surveyors, et cetera. But we just want for our home, your beautiful community and because of our family. So to give you a little history, we've done some legwork at the recommendation of the ERC. We engaged services of a certified arborist to evaluate the health and condition of each tree on the property. Our arborist, Mr. Forrest Evans from Natural Directions, could not be here with us today because it was too short of a notice, but he's available for a call should it be necessary. So we are aware that there's a discrepancy in the size and types of the tree between the tree survey completed by Ashley Surveying and Natural Directions. This is a stamped plan. I made some notes on it. Sure that we get the update on the actual. So, and get that recorded. So the arborist report was submitted in December and the staff responded with concerns only about tree number 13, which we are planning to keep. And they had concerns about number 20 and 22. They deferred to this board and encroachment of number 10 into the driveway. So to begin with, we know that there are many challenges inherent on this site. There are several grand trees. We have a significant slope of a 4-foot slope from left to right. The water runoff from all the uphill properties currently drained into this property. And since this is an infill, we're not the last one to the party here. So we know our endeavor is even more challenging. The home has been designed for us to age in place, which requires all of our primary living space to be on the main level. So the design will accommodate accessible features. We've had many versions, revisions, discussions. We've moved the footprint all over that site. And the plan, as you see it, is trying to encroach on as few tree roots as possible for our foundation. But because part of the sprawling root systems, and the large circumferences, they've been a challenge to design around. But the home has been relegated to being only 2 rooms wide, which is as narrow as one could reasonably expect to create a comfortable layout. As far as the drainage plan is concerned, we've engaged a landscape architect who came highly recommended, specialized in grading and drainage plans throughout the low country since 1983. He was not able to be with us today either due to short notice. But we're in the process of coordinating a meeting with him and Bonnie McDale in your engineering department to discuss in more detail. We're aware of some pieces of this puzzle which may need to be shelved until they meet. But we have looped in Mr. Edward Tupper, who's a local commercial contractor. He's also our friend and family member by marriage into the details of our plan, and he's here to lend support and may be able to answer some questions, technical questions beyond our scope. So we'll follow through and facilitate a conversation between the landscape architect and your engineering staff as soon as possible. When you look at the actual health and details of the trees on this lot, the impact of inserting this narrow home down the middle without the impact tree, that tree root system, that would have a profound effect on the foundation. We've done a decent job of designing a home in compliance with historic standards and creating usable outside space with drainage management and preserving as many trees as we possibly can. We would propose to remove all the trees that are dead or diseased, in addition to those in poor shape, which will continue to deteriorate. Trees, as you know, as you well know, have a certain lifespan, and if we're concerned if that can't be addressed now, it will continue to be a problem in the future. In addition, we need support and consideration for the concept of a foundation and drainage plan. So at this point, have you all reached a decision to remove any of the trees?
Yes, but I've got some pretty good reservations about some others, as you know, when we spoke about them. Some of them, and first of all, it's not necessarily the last time that you will speak with us. You mentioned that in the beginning of your letter, that's not necessarily true. Because until the discussion, if I'm correct, the discussion occurs between town engineering and your folks, some of the assertions for tree removal were based on your stormwater plan, and if there's not agreement with the towns, we can't, I don't think in good conscience, approve a tree removal on a plan that is not approved yet. So that's one aspect of it. So I don't know if this is even the best moment to make final decision on the trees. I would like perhaps some feedback from staff on that.
It's my understanding that the applicant is in the process of setting up a meeting with our engineering department. So that's
Right,
where we're at this point.
but that meeting could precipitate different plans than exist right now for the site and some consequential tree removal. Is that right?
It's possible.
So should we put this on hold for now?
I mean, that's up to y'all if there are some specific trees that you want to address or that the property owners would like to request that you address specifically that perhaps may not change with the drainage design for the lot. You could address those.
Okay, well, if I knew more about the
May I make a comment?
current drainage plans, I would like to, it'd be good to know. Yes?
Okay, as Mrs. Fisher commented that she still has to get some approvals for the drainage. The approach that she's talking about would be, the drainage is gonna be an issue that he has to work out through with engineering. However, if she knows that certain trees that are not affected by the drainage at the moment, if they can be removed or such, then as we redesign the drainage or contemplate trees affected by the drainage, it would help to know, specifically the trees you're facing from the road to the left side are really not a drainage issue. Those are an approachment issue into the foundation. If they know they can do something with those trees and the one in the lower part of the driveways, then when approaching and going back to the engineering, we'll have an approach to know how the drainage can be maneuvered if a certain tree at that time did have to come back to you after the drainage plan. But if we knew the trees, specifically the ones on the left side of the house and the ones in the driveway, if we know they can or cannot, it's a matter of dealing with what you can or cannot do. We're, off y'all's recommendations here, it would be nice to know what can happen with the trees simply to the left-hand side of the house and then the driveway, specifically the front part of the driveway, and then the one in the driveway itself that's close to the garage. The others, since this property does drain from the road back to the back right corner, is currently, I'm sure we're gonna have to design some drainage structures to control that water. And those are something we'll be working out with the engineer, but if possible, we would know, if those cannot be moved to the left side, then it's gonna affect simply 20 and 22, they approach into the foundation of the house. So those would be the main two, and then the one in the driveway would be the next two at this point. if you just, you know what you got to deal with, or can and cannot, then it's gonna make it, so we can make decisions on the grants, whatever. So, that's fine.
We do have the report from the arborist ranking every tree. There are several that are D, they're diseased or they're dead or. So it would be helpful if we can make some headway today.
320, excuse me, 320 was just mentioned. That is that's the elm tree that's in dispute about whose property it's on, isn't it? Is that the one that seems to, that you have two different surveys? One shows it solely on your property and another shows it split between the two properties. Is that correct?
That survey we show. We don't have, we've not seen another survey showing it on.
Right.
The neighboring.
But that is one that's in dispute. Right, okay.
That would have to be determined by, final determination, does it approach to the property to the left, or is it solely on this property? And they do understand that, that has to be resolved, you can't resolve something.
Right. So that's one that I would suggest we can't consider that till we know, Mr. Chairman.
Right? And additionally, I'll get you, additionally, well, that was supposedly a part of the drainage concern, was it not? Okay, so we can't decide on that one now, because it would be wonderful if it wasn't a threat to the drainage pattern, scheme, because it's quite a magnificent tree. Yes, sir.
Well, I had my surveyor mark that, the corners and along that property. And that tree, part of that tree clearly is on my property. And I'm opposed to that, cutting that tree. Definitely opposed to it. I'm opposed to cutting the gum tree that is on their property, is in good health. Because taking those trees out is gonna affect the drainage on my property as well. And the oak tree that abuts the pine tree that's on my property is gonna affect the root system if they take it out. That oak tree is gonna affect the root system of my pine tree that's about a foot away.
Right in the corner there, right?
Yes, yeah. And I think we have to consider the big picture in Somerville when we consider the little picture. What we do on this lot and other lots in Somerville affects the big picture. There was a very good article in the Post and Courier just a few days ago about sinking. And I've noticed it on my property on Gulf Road. My property, some of it has been sinking for this very reason. And I've got a lot of experience. I'm not an arborist, but I'm, from a practical point of view, I have a lot of experience with trees. I've owned my property out there for 32 years. This particular property I've owned for 64 years. And I've got property just down the street from this lot that I've been observing for 88 years. And when you take out these grand pine trees, and they live a lot longer, those pine trees on this particular lot will live past our lifetime. And when you take those big pine trees out, like I've seen during Hugo, you actually establish a well. And there's no way that you're gonna be able to remediate that. You may put a driveway over it, but it's going to sink. I've got 4 holes on my property on Golf Road that are ponds. Even if I plant something in there's water that's standing in that hole after a rain like we had this weekend.
Okay, your point is well taken. Thank you. We're aware of your concerns.
I really have concerns about what they propose doing on that lot. It's gonna affect people on the other side of that lot for me, and it's gonna affect my lot. I want to see them build their dream home. You know, I'd like to see them do that. I don't want to be a roadblock, but I'm also opposed to undermining some of it.
Thank you.
We understood what you talked about needing, how the people live. And I understand one has to be surveyed and checked by all parties. The concern on those, skip the drainage for a moment, is the fact that they impede into the foundation. And, you know, they've done a wonderful job of shrinking the width of this house, as narrow as possible. So the real concern is the overall house. Then go up into the roots.
Well, which ones are you talking about in particular threatening the foundation?
20 and 22. 20.
That's a wall.
They're at the wall, but I'm talking about if on the radius of the tree, on when you're right there, the circle loops up, go up a little bit, when you're right there. It goes up into that foundation. I don't know if the tree, I don't, you know, with removal of roots far enough to get it out of that foundation, is the tree still healthy? That would be up to an arborist, not me.
Yes, it would be.
And then the 22, kind of the same way. It'd be nice to say, just shift the house to the right, going further to the right, they've already gone, it's narrower. It'd be if an arborist would approve that, or would they have to be?
So those, your biggest concerns are 20 and 22 right now.
Yes.
Okay.
On the right, 22. That shows how it will impact the foundation. But if you look at it, I think our no, 22, there's no circle around 22 that shows the impact to the foundation, but it would far exceed the living space.
Are you
That-
talking
That's
about?
the tree protection zone, so it's actually the impact to the tree, not to the foundation.
that's not-
It's the opposite. It would impact the tree, not the foundation.
Yeah, it's, and once you're gonna put a footer down on this house, you've essentially put a barrier to any roots coming from that tree in the future.
Yeah, but the question is, if we trim the tree back to get the foundation, is it gonna affect the tree?
Well, where are you gonna trim the tree? I don't understand. What are you talking about, trimming the roots, trimming the crown?
Not on the tree, roots.
The roots.
I'm speaking of the roots, not the limbs.
Okay, the foundation, well, I really want to see what the distance was, and we could have any number of people take a look and see whether that's going to threaten the tree at all.
Yeah, I understand.
I have a feeling that it's not going to in the case of the sweet gum, nor in the case of the elm tree. That's a pretty good, that's a fair distance, but I can pull out the scale here and I don't. The foundation of the houses just appears to be considerably distant from there.
I was looking at the red line coming off of 22 that impedes up into it. I know that's the span of the limbs. It's just a matter of how far the root base goes. We've always kind of looked at them one and one, and I'm not an arborist, so by all means.
I saw another drawing the same day we were there that showed that's like a pathway that goes right through the middle of that sweet gum, right? Is that a pathway or a walkway or,
It is a pathway.
okay, on another, is it a concrete, asphalt, something? Or just gravel? Oh, okay, because on another drawing, I saw that it wasn't going through there, it was going through closer to the house.
Yeah. That's been changed, but we realize we're gonna have to figure out what we can do with those trees and then change accordingly. But there are the other trees on the other side too.
Right. Okay, well, on this side here, I think 20 and 22 are gonna. They're going to be something we're gonna want to save if it's proper. Of all the trees, and the tree on the corner, I don't know that it was essential to be removed. To the point of just taking down trees because maybe they're not as attractive as they could be, is not something we often cater to.
No, I don't think that was the point of that one. I think it was just that the arborist had indicated it was for form.
Okay,
I don't know that it, I don't have any, I don't have any personal heartburn over that.
okay,
Tree number 24, unless we get advice otherwise by our designer, but I,
let's go to the other side then, to the right. And if you, Randy, you're, say anything you want me to keep going?
No, keep going.
Some obvious ones to come down is a dead tree. Then there's another tree that the arborists point out, a large pine tree. I guess that is number, well, the numbers are gone here from the, I thought they got shaved off the top.
number 4.
Yeah.
And the
Could be
arborist
4.
had written a letter to support that removal because without the support of the other 2 trees around it, number 3, which is decayed and 6 is decayed, there's a concern whether it would be supported appropriately.
Okay, well, we see that there's an issue with that tree, as well as the water oak. But I'm having a lot of trouble that something can't be attempted to be done for tree number 4. That really large pine. I know,
In the driveway.
yeah. We see driveways compensated in the past in other areas.
There's no way to move a driveway. They're already encroaching on the setback line on the right side that we had to have a special approval for 6 feet. So there's no other way to get around that tree. We really can't move the driveway to the right, and we can't move the house to the left.
Well, I was thinking, well, the little, I forget what the name of that structure is there, the French name. Yes, if it were not there, the driveway could curve a little bit to accommodate that tree perhaps. And it's a gravel driveway, so it's not going to be a severe disruption to the root zone. So this is what I'm just telling you what my opinion is. It's not the only opinion. There was a live oak that was, and a magnolia that we didn't feel was necessary. I didn't feel was necessary, for removal along again on the right side. And so, you know, there's some concern about some of the trees that have been picked, and I don't know that I saw a terrible reason for them. Shallow tree was another issue. Now, anyhow, let me let someone else.
I liked your idea of the curve in the driveway because that's,
Well, it can't curve as long as that structure's there.
Well-
We can't curve it because we are invading on the setback on the side. There's no opportunity to curve.
No, I meant curve inward toward the house. That's all.
There's no move the house.
No. But that parking area, that access to the house,
That is access to.
I realize that. If that weren't there, then it might be possible, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you have enough room to curve up.
Okay,
Get really close. to
I
the
haven't, I
house.
can't look at it that,
So they could take the house out. See,
It would
Absolutely.
Whether you had the portico show or not.
And how wide is the driveway?
So it's not very wide. You know, it had been a 20-foot driveway, it would make sense, yes, you can come around it, but you get 12-foot drive. Able to get in there without, doing around that tree. I see your concerns and see your point.
Yeah, that's just a very, first of all, let me say that I disagree with your arborist. I know your arborist and he's a doggone good one. And he and I usually agree on things, but I don't agree about, number 4 is in danger because of trees around it being removed. I looked at it on the site with that in mind. And I just have a different opinion. So that's a really healthy tree on your lot. And I would love to see that one remain. We're going, there's going to have to be some compromises to your plan somehow. That may be one you want to see if you can work out.
Well, that would be a tough one.
Right.
As far as approach to the garage, that needs to be back of the home.
I understand.
Other trees were certainly willing to compromise. But that one was still very difficult one to compromise on, plus per the arborist, it will be left alone and potentially danger to come down and
What is what is it that's drawn? One is steps, but between the driveway and the section where your pantry is, what is that?
share.
That is the portico share? No, the portico share is on the driveway itself. I'm talking about right there. Where the arrow is. It's done in yellow and then there's some steps as well.
It's just, I think, the landing to approach the steps. And potentially we talked about making that even a ramp. If we have a disability, then that could potentially be a ramp also to enter our home on the pantry side.
Right, I was just looking to see if there were any possibilities to pull your driveway over closer, a little bit closer to the home to allow for going around the tree number 4. That's what,
That's the fact that this makes it for a difficult swing to avoid the back corner swinging a car. in the
right,
road.
but you wouldn't consider just narrowing it there and then widening back out? I mean, that, you're,
Approach outside the door. Got the flat spot coming off the portico share. And this that, and then you got your landing at the top. I know it's linear more than 4, but the depth of the house is wide is only 4. And that's the minimum.
You got anything to say?
No, I'm just thinking about, what we can do until we know about the drainage and property lines and all that. And I realize we're trying to vote on a few trees here, but I just feel like I'd like to have everything kind of figured out as far as boundaries and what tree belongs to who.
Are you, proposing to just cut some of the trees down now and then have someone come back later, and cut the rest down? Yeah, of course, because it would be very expensive, doubly expensive to bring them back.
Doesn't matter how we. Wants to know what can or can't come down. Two things, the drainage coming to the back from the drive to the right where it shows that underground drain that can be adjusted somewhat. To the left side, you know, the property comes, the water comes from the property to the left on a natural flow, and that it does. And trying to shield that water from running straight into the Fisher's house would be that approach, the reason they wanted the wall approach to keep that erosion down, and protect that water. Because they're gonna have to take and deter that water, some to the front and some to the back, which can be done. You knowing what you gotta do with the trees and what's,
Well, if
know
you,
we can do something with it, know how to affect drainage.
I don't know.
if you can't remove that tree that Mr. Hudson's talking about, that may be on his property, we don't know for sure. How much is that gonna affect the drainage then if that tree is allowed to remain there?
If it's allowed to remain, then we're gonna have to find a way to take that water that's running, let's just say we're running right through the middle of it, straight to the house. You're gonna end up having to come about where it says courtyard and put some kind of deterrent in order to deflect the water left and right. Don't have that exact answer right
Yeah,
now.
I understand.
Yeah. But yes, if it can't come down, that's going to affect that area, because you can't just let it keep coming straight at the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna have to be, you know, set the grades, and it looks like that about where Y is in courtyard, it tapers itself to the back, and then a little bit to the right of that, it comes itself naturally to the front. And, you know, it's gonna affect that a little bit, that along with the foundation, yeah.
You said this area between the
Could you point out? the
side
clo-
entrance of the pantry, is that going to be, you say for grocery deliveries?
No, it's for me to take groceries into my home.
Oh, okay, but you got a 3-car garage down here? Couldn't they be delivered right there?
I'm not talking grocery delivery, ma'am. I'm talking about me personally.
Well, if you, since you drive in the car,
Groceries off at close to my kitchen, because we really wanted to have the garage close to the kitchen for convenience sake. And we couldn't with the plan. And so rather than bringing them through the garage and through the courtyard, through the house, that way we would like to drop them off at the pantry, plus have access for a ramp for a disability situation that we would be looking at in the future.
are you foreseeing a disability? I came in,
Think about it, 3 ages and for Mr. Fisher age and being able to stop there to get the stuff in their house versus having to go all the way to the back and get back through.
I came in with a walker today, but my kitchen is some distance from my car. But that's just part of my exercise to get it there.
You know, Mr. Chairman, I agree with Claude. I'm just not at a point where I can make any decisions on any trees until we know a couple of things. One is what the stormwater department is going to say about drainage and how they're going to alleviate that or mitigate that. And then the disparity in the property lines with Mr. Hudson's property and the elm tree. I just don't know what I could decide on. And secondly, what would help me, even while we're waiting for this, is I would happily meet with their arborists on site and let's talk about some of these trees and see, since he and I have some differences of opinion, get his take on some of these trees. And I would happily do that.
I think it's an excellent idea.
And the LA, for that matter, at a separate meeting. I don't want to combine an arborist and a landscape architect at the same time. That's too much discussion, but I'd love to meet with the arborist at least.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we delay decisions on the trees until there is more concrete discussion and agreement about drainage plan, as well as survey for a corner, because that's pretty important if y'all can't agree on the property line. So I would move to defer this subsequent to the subsequent meeting. I don't know that we can deal with this any earlier than the next month's meeting, probably not to actually vote on the trees. But I'm uncomfortable, as are the others, that there's a lot of loose ends here. And it's not gonna change the timing terribly much, if we do delay it until there is agreement on drainage, et cetera. And to give it time to think about. I realize the bind that they're in for that tree number 4. Number four. A little more time to think, if there's any possibility. It's a magnificent tree and we're all about wanting to save magnificent trees if at all possible. So I move that we defer decision on voting on the trees until next month after hopefully all these loose ends are tied up.
Second.
it.
Any other thoughts before we vote?
And there's really no reason why, but when are y'all gonna meet with the town? Stormwater people, kind of figure that part out, you know, drainage and all, the engineer, when are y'all supposed to meet with them? Has anything been set up yet for that? Yeah, okay.
That'd be a good piece of the puzzle to have in place.
Yeah, and getting that survey done, just making sure that, you know, we've done our due diligence to determine who. I don't know, but I'm just hearing two conflicting opinions on who the tree belongs to and where the boundaries are. So I don't know how we determine that. If that's something that the town can take a look at, I'm not sure. But I would like to find out just to make sure.
Good, each of the parties share their surveys. I don't know if that's, a willingness on Mr. Hudson or not. Of course, nobody wants to. The tree, wherever it's determined, is gonna be wherever it's determined. We just
Mhm.
wanna figure out what that is, and, you know, it's not a matter of somebody can move it or anything like that. It's gonna be whatever there is, and then so. Want to make sure each of the two surveyors are seeing the same thing, you know, each.
Right.
Everybody wants to get it right. It's not a case of trying to get it right.
Yep.
That probably could be arranged. So we have a motion that's been seconded. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll see you again. I told you it wasn't the last time we'll see you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You want me to share that survey I gave to you with Mr. Hudson? Do you want to keep that one until we get that?
That would be a staff function, would it not? Sharing the surveys to compare which one is right.
The tree permit. So, I mean, if it shows that the tree is located on both properties, we would need approval from both, but I mean, if the surveys are different, then that would become a civil
Yeah, that's
matter.
more of a civil matter as to whose surveyor is correct. We don't really get involved in it.
I'm sorry.
That would be more of a civil matter into whose surveyor is correct. We don't really get involved in that. We're not surveyors, so we certainly can't confirm or deny.
I was thinking about engineering or have to deal with this kind of stuff or someone, no one in planning anywhere.
I mean, again, it would become a civil matter if the surveys don't match. The
Okay.
town wouldn't get involved
Okay.
in that. It's private property.
But you can see how we could not make a decision
Yeah, we know.
because of that.
We'll get our surveyor to, about that and get her survey to distinctly not only shoot the line, but to shoot the actual tree. And
Okay.
see where they all come up.
Okay.
You know,
Right.
From that.
All right. Thank you. One 17 Parkwood Drive, one larch tree. one we've never seen before.
Sorry?
One we've never seen before in town.
Did you plant that tree?
That tree was about that big around 30 years ago, we built that shop.
So
Wow.
it was there when you bought the property? Okay. Huh.
But it hadn't been there that long. Before, you know, if it's that big compared to what it is now.
Well, Mr. John Myers built that house, 1952 for Kramers. They were from up north. And I don't know who planted it, but it was there whenever we
Yeah.
bought the place.
Okay, well, you'd like it removed because it's either potentially or actually challenges the foundation of the shop. We couldn't get inside, no one was home, we couldn't get inside to go open the door and see if it was affecting the wall on the inside or the slab. So, we saw some pictures. But we really wanted to see.
I was out of town, I didn't know you all were coming.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
I think another issue, just walking around the building, we saw other cracks, you know, I think all four sides. So we couldn't really tell where roots were coming from that tree going towards the building that, you know, would be affecting the foundation. So, it's just really hard to say that if the tree is or is not from our viewpoint anyway. Were there any other issues with the tree as far as dropping branches or anything like that? It's a beautiful tree.
And you've heard us talk about root pruning before, and that you could do some of that up next to the building
Well, I done spent
only.
couple $100 getting limbs cut. Keep it from going into the shop. Y'all seen the little knots going?
Yeah,
out?
Oh, yeah.
we did.
So now they're up on top of the building. So, and I done spent enough money probably to have the tree cut down.
No, you haven't.
So what would y'all recommend?
You want to talk about roof pruning thing?
Well, but before I talk about root pruning, are there cracks in the interior of the building that,
That building is 40 foot long. It lacks 10 foot from going to the other side.
And it begins where the tree is adjacent to the tree?
Yes.
If you
Okay.
did root pruning, that could prevent the possibility of anything further happening that is caused by the tree or those roots. And like they were saying, there were so many cracks, they weren't sure. But that would be a lot less expensive than removing the tree.
Well, I'd rather not patch it up. I'd rather just get rid of it. Don't have no more headaches.
well, I think that I would like to see the interior of the building. So, I mean, if we have to. No, sir, we would have to get it back on the schedule and come next month.
Is that all right with you?
Sure, I mean, cracks about that wide now.
When did it start?
I don't really know. I'm in and out of there. I just kept noticing that it keeps going on
Mhm.
across the shop.
The root pruning idea would still be something we would initially recommend. And there's more to it than that because a barrier can be put down to prevent further roots from ever entering again. The damage is already done, whether it's from the tree or whatever else, that you're stuck with the big crack. I'm sorry. Hopefully, but that could be stopped with the actions that we've recommended. But it would be really good to see it. If you don't mind.
Sure, I mean, I didn't know y'all would come.
Okay,
I've been out of town.
that's fine.
We're a good group, we'll do that. We're a good group, we could do that.
Well, our new arborist, he'll be in touch with you and he'll make sure that he lets you know when we come by.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I move that we defer till next month a decision on the Clark Street.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion? Say
All
aye.
right.
Opposed? We will come next month. Travelers Boulevard.
Y'all still back there? Okay.
Pardon?
Warren, thank you all for meeting us last week.
Sure.
I don't know that.
No,
Discuss the second.
no, it looks like we probably picked a pretty good draining site. Because we didn't see any ponds in there. It's always tough to speculate and try and approve or disapprove when large clearings are done, but we know why they're there and as always, we appreciate your willingness to work with us and to accommodate some of our needs and wishes ahead of time. I was very music to my ears about saving the stands of growth, not just individual trees where you could. That's a rarity around here, I think. And obviously many reasons for it as far as soil grading and all the rest of that, but when you can avoid it and you do, and that impressed me. So I was pleased with the presentation. And
Yeah, it's the usual good work done by this particular company and these folks. And here again, the best arborist report I've seen locally in some time. I don't remember, I did have a question though. I don't remember if when we were on site, if we discussed sidewalk installation. And if,
no,
are there going to be sidewalks and is that? And have you addressed, or has your arborist or your LAs addressed what effect sidewalk installation might have on the trees in the frontage? Because I do remember you saying that you hope to utilize those trees in the frontage.
I believe we haven't discussed the sidewalk relative to the trees yet. The sidewalk would be in the right of way. But I don't think the trees are in the right of way.
No, but their root systems may well be.
Yeah. So, we haven't gotten that far. Haven't submitted for design for district acceptance. Go through, start going through that. And, George also works with landscape architects also.
Right.
So they will be working on that plan.
Good. It just occurred to me and
Yeah,
I thought I'd ask the question. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I know that you all will treat those trees and all the trees with care and with good thought. And just as always, if you see a chance, every time you see a chance to save a worthwhile tree, please do so.
Will do.
Just to follow up on the sidewalks, are there restrictions on where the sidewalks can be placed? Like, can it be placed right behind the curb from the road?
I mean, there's technically supposed to be a verge of at least 3 feet. But TRC can take into account the trees and consider that when approving the plans.
Okay, all right.
I will say, did you walk on that road at all? So George and I were walking on that curve, and I think it would be a bit scary for pedestrians.
Yeah, a little
too close to the road.
Yeah, I can understand that.
The other side, you're outside, on the outside of the curve, it's not quite as, there's already a sidewalk there, it's not quite as fearful, but
What's the,
inside that curve, you can't see around.
Makes sense.
yeah, it's kind of a blind spot. What's the posted speed limit? Like, people are gonna obey that all the time.
I actually think that's.
Is it really?
It might have been 45.
Oh,
I don't recall, but it's.
Yeah.
you're talking about travelers, not the side road.
Not the sidewalk, no, not about the traffic.
Okay. Yeah, Probably is. All right,
Most neighborhoods are 25.
Yeah, so once you get on any of the little side roads, that's, I think that was designed as kind of an access that it connects all the way and then crosses.
Doesn't qualify yet.
well, if there are no other discussions, suggestions, that's a good one about the sidewalk because particularly, of course, it's on the side road, which is, will that have a sidewalk as well?
Yes.
Because that's a line of trees in the front that you pointed out that you were saving.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. And we'd hate to see anything be forced to challenge that. I have to put it that way, because you have to have a sidewalk. The road's already there, you know. Okay. Well, we're to move on approval of the initial plan here, I guess. So let's have a motion.
I move to approve the plan.
Second.
All those in favor of hopefully another admirable project?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Good luck.
Thank you. I think
I was, they were both in my mind and I am.
They were mine too.
Okay. I move that we approve
First one.
second entry for the development on Travelers Road.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay.
Thanks.
appreciate it as always.
Yep.
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Thanks.
Thank you. Hi, George.
Thank you, Justin.
Is there any other thoughts, concerns, business to bring up? Oh, you sure now? I have another motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you all for your due diligence.
You're welcome.
My, page really impressed.